Hello, beautiful seekers, and welcome to our moon magic for the Gemini New Moon happening on May 22nd, 2020 at 2 degrees of Gemini. What a playful, curious moon. I think the Gemini New Moon is always going to get energy moving. It's the mutable air sign, so of course it's going to have some velocity to it and some playfulness to it. Gemini energy is some of the most playful energy that we have to use in this life, and it's very curious. And 3 words came to mind for me for this new moon: kind, curious, and willing. Mercurial energy, which Gemini is ruled by Mercury, so this new moon with sun and moon conjunct there, is very mercurial. It's very quick-witted, very quick at understanding story, understanding narrative, pulling ideas together, exploring, asking great questions. This sun and moon is trining another very inquisitive placement, which is Saturn in Aquarius at 1 degree of Aquarius. Now, Saturn is on his way back to Capricorn right now. We've got about a month and a half before he joins back up with Capricorn, but we are here still with Saturn doing the introspective work in Aquarius at the moment. And these two are trining perfectly, the new moon and Saturn, in these air signs, a breath of fresh air, right? These are very intellectually stimulated, curious, wise energies that ask a lot of really good questions and are very good at kind of doing the investigative work of querying and questioning, right? So this is really playful, curious energy. Now, here's the thing. This trine is great for getting a little bit more grounded, getting a little bit more practical with ourselves, and figuring out ways to move forward in life. This has been a very slow time. There's been a lot of that earthbound energy working with us, which has kind of kept us in a bit of a cocoon and had us really reflecting. And this new moon is happening in the context of 4 planetary retrogrades: Venus, Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter. Because it's air energy, though, this is having us come back, especially with the Saturn influence, to some more grounded focus on what is there in front of us. What do we already have within us? What do we already have around us that we can utilize? Actually, just was speaking about this in my most recent Instagram post about how we look for answers in hidden places, in places that we think we can't see. It's over there. It's over there. Well, it must be hidden from us. And often we have really great tools about what we need to do today, this week, or about a situation right here that we keep looking elsewhere for. Right? It's kind of like we have these glasses on that only allow us to see long range vision, but don't allow us to see what's literally around us. And so this trine really helps us to come back to that, to kind of retweak our focus, to remember that being here, being self-accountable here and now can actually help us get a lot greater clarity about how to take steps forward, about how to be constructive, and to do it from a place of kind, curious, and willing energy that has not only the thought of you being self-accountable for how you move through the world, but also that you have that accountability for your community and for the context within which you do your thinking and moving in the world. And this is such an important part of the puzzle with Saturn in Aquarius. We are individuals. We create our own reality. We create our own thoughts. We have a constant engine of our thought processes feeding us or keeping us in loops. That's so true, but we do that within a context. We do that within an interactive environment. And so there's a reminder there as well in this Saturn new moon trine that we have going on. The other big influence that is happening during this moon has to do with our lovely Venus, who is retrograde at this time at 20 degrees of Gemini. She's conjunct Mercury, who's moving forward, meeting her there at 20 degrees of Gemini. So we have a ton of energy in Gemini, 4 planets working their magic, very loud, playful, personal energies here, right? We have these are the core 4: Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Venus. So they're all in Gemini working. And I am doing a lot deeper dive on the Venus retrograde aspects going on over on Patreon. We're doing a 6-week check-in. We're doing exercises. So if you haven't joined me over on Patreon, we are just about to get started on our 2nd week there, really tapping into her energy and what she's doing. But here in this new moon, the influence this is having, it's not close to the new moon. However, Venus and Mercury conjunct at 20 degrees of Gemini are squaring Neptune at 20 degrees of Pisces. This is a powerful square. It does something really interesting, which is this. It challenges our addiction to tidy plot stories, plots and stories and narratives. It challenges the way that we think our life is supposed to go. And it challenges this idea of things being orderly. Like even in something that seems chaotic, a lot of times we situate it in our mind like we would in a movie. A movie often has, a hero that comes up against challenges that are then resolved, right? The hero's journey is extremely powerful stuff that Joseph Campbell has talked about, and you can see it in literature and films and all sorts of storytelling over the last several hundred years. But we, I think culturally now, have a serious addiction to tidy plots. We have been given so many of them that we now come to expect it in every aspect of our lives. And this square right here is challenging us because the world is not linear, and it is not tidy, and it is not out to get us. Neither, though, is it kind of about being the hero of a story and it being this tidy, linear climax and culmination. In fact, life, as you continue to grow and age in life, which we all are doing, you find that it's a deeper and deeper knowing. It's a deeper and deeper connecting in with the mysteriousness of life, and that there aren't certainties and that there aren't linear narratives to rely on. And that is not where we're going to find the good stuff. So this square has us sit in what one medieval mystic, soon after the bubonic plague, in his book called The Cloud of Unknowing. The cloud of unknowing. Rather than looking for the external narrative and the linear narrative, this Venus-Neptune square asks us to sit in the cloud of unknowing and therefore to see what is right in front of us. And I think this is what makes what Liz Gilbert calls Earth School, and I think probably many other people call it that as well, right? We learn in a much deeper, more profound way in this nuanced world of interconnectivity, of conversation, of back and forth, of the mystery, of the not knowing. So this moon, it's doing a couple of really powerful things. On the one hand, you have that Saturn influence and that fresh, crisp Gemini New Moon energy, having this conversation about how we can be curious and willing and be grounded enough to take progressive, kind, and foundation building steps into the next phase of our lives. I love that. And that is also getting challenged by this Venus-Mercury conjunction squaring off against Neptune, which is saying that in order to access that type of wisdom, we need to sit back into the cloud of unknowing a little bit more and release kind of this desire for that Hollywood arc and for that kind of certainty energy. And to sit back a little bit more into the curiousness, the willingness, and the kindness that came up as the big themes of this moon. Now, this is not meant to be about the pain and about sitting in our shadow selves and about feeling really kind of heavy and bad about this. New moons, they are reflective. We are planting seeds in the darkness of not having that illumination at night. There are 4 planets in retrograde, so it's an introspective element to a new moon during a big retrograde season like this. 100%, that is very true. But introspection doesn't always need to be about hard work, homework, self-deprivation, and a kind of an ascetic giving up, right? It can also be about creative willingness to listen and hear from within the cloud of unknowing, to better understand being here in this earth school. And one of the ways I would say to connect with this moon and to play with this moon is to be creative. Draw, write, walk, sing, dance, whatever it is that's creative for you, do that. Sit back into it without a goal, without a desire to control it, and see what comes up and out of you. And the more you can relax, the more you can kind of take your foot off the gas pedal of that mercurial desire to jump to conclusions, and the more you can kind of sit back into the listening and the hearing of yourself and of those around you as well, this moon will also offer up very wise counsel about how to move through the world in a place of kindness, in a place of giving back, and in the contextuality of our communities. So it's a very supportive moon. I think it is a breath of fresh air after we had some very earth-based energies dominating the sky for a long time. This new moon has a really different flavor to it, one that I think we haven't had for a very long time. And like I said, it's in the context of this beautiful Venus retrograde, which we are doing all the work over on Patreon. I'll leave that link below. Let's pull one card, just one, to give us our message for this beautiful new moon. Three of Pentacles. I love that, right? Three of Pentacles is all about working with others. And I would say, the Gemini and Aquarian influence in this moon, these are energies that want to do with others. It's not about the isolation. It's not about closing ourselves off or going into kind of a hermit-like state, right? The Three of Pentacles is all about playing together and having a shared vision. But I think we have this ideal that a shared vision is about not being challenged and not being asked to get to a deeper, wiser place with good critical thinking and good grounded behavior. And the Three of Pentacles, I think, speaks to that. These are three people who are well-educated, who have taken the time to learn their craft, and when they come together and they bring their wisdom to the table, something beautiful happens. So this is about playfulness. This is about connectivity. This is about the fact that our self-accountability is in the context of our collective, and that can be a fun, beautiful place to grow, to feel hope, to feel renewal, and to feel and pave a way forward. And I do think that is a strong aspect of this moon, is that feeling of kind of being lifted up and feeling some more of the playfulness and the openness to what is possible next. And I think we definitely need a dose of that. I think the Three of Pentacles also speaks to, we each have our moment to share, our voice in the world. I think that's important. However, that listening is just as important. I know Glennon Doyle just did one of her discussions for this week was about listening as a superpower, deep listening as a superpower. And this is definitely a time to have deep listening, to ask curious questions, and to do this all from a place of kindness and willingness and curiosity, of course. And so remember to play, remember to be curious, remember to be soft on yourselves, and let this introspective unknowing unfold the next step forward. I will leave my Patreon link below. I will also leave my website for booking summer sessions with me. Still working on my calendar a little bit, but keep an eye out. I would love to hear from you. And also you can find me on Instagram at SarahVerba. I love you all so much. I will see you very soon. I hope I see you over on Patreon. Thank you to those of you who have taken the time to join me. It means so much to me. It has changed my world. That community, it just lights me up and makes me so happy. And I'm so grateful to you all that are there with me. We have such a beautiful time together. I'm really excited for our coming weeks with Venus retrograde. I'll see you all for the June readings very soon and the next moon magic.